Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to day 3 of NWR's Investor Conference. On the call this afternoon, we have management from Wellfully. So Wellfully, formerly known as OBJ Limited, is a fully integrated science-based wellness company. In addition to its own brand, which is called RÉDUIT, the company also offers a portfolio of proprietary technologies, and they also support partners providing IP-protected market exclusivity, expertise in magnetic array design, feasibility and efficacy, and claims testing, engineering and production. The company was founded in 2004 after 15 years of research in biomagnetics, and the company now has offices in Western Australia, Hong Kong, China, Switzerland, Croatia, and the UK. And so today we'll hear from Paul Peros, who's the CEO of Wellfully. Paul took over as CEO in April this year, having transitioned from head of the company's device business. Prior to joining Wellfully, Paul was CEO of the leading Swedish beauty technology brand Foreo, which is where he led the company from its beginnings in 2013 to delivering more than $1 billion in revenue by 2018. Foreo now has over 3,000 employees and has delivered 20 million units into 50 markets with Asia, Europe, and the Americas. So Paul's certainly got a strong record of accomplishment. Before we jump into the presentation, I'll just point out that to ask any questions on the call, you can submit them via the Q&A box at the bottom of your panel, and we'll address them once Paul's finished his presentation. So with that, Paul, I'll pass across to you. Go ahead, Paul.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining. I'll be giving you a bit of an overview of the activities of Wellfully. Now, in terms of general information, we're ASX WFL with a total issued capital short of 150 million shares. So the share price as of yesterday was 15 cents for a market cap of 22 million. We have cash at hand, 2.56 million, and an enterprise value of 1944. Today, I would like to talk a little bit about this important transition from OBJ and R&D company towards a fully integrated science-based wellness company, Wellfully, that was happening over the last 12 months. Some more details and examples of specific infrastructures and platforms we've been working on, and a bit of a sneak preview of new product development activities looking towards first half of 2021, closing with some general comments and then the Q&A. Now, OBJ has introduced specialized more on the R&D side, business model being licensing of the technologies that are proprietary and developed in-house. Over the last 15 years, OBJ has developed as one of the most advanced companies in enhanced drug deliveries. That in itself was the important basis of Wellfully that sought to integrate these downstream into actual product and brand business models. Over the last year, we have been developing organization and the activities in order to allow this full range of options. We've been doing so also with a relatively strong team on the board level that has been driving this change. In particular, the important elements is experience, relevant experience in both beauty and the medical fields, as well as experience in the board management of public companies in both the US and Australia. Another really important point, of course, is the presence of Jeff Edwards and his engagement that continues within the R&D and innovation activities of the company. Now, these, as said, were the principal or core and primary activities up to 2019. Over the last year, we have done a series of additional engagements across the ongoing bodyguard development stream. So patch technologies for joint mobility and pain relief that I will be detailing soon a little bit more. but basically it's going to market with these. On top, we have initiated and engaged in device design, basically engineering, industrializing, and sourcing completely new structures, as was the case with delivery systems. In particular, it's RÉDUIT's hair pods and skin pods. They themselves as well are a completely novel approach to cosmetic topical delivery, combining the enhanced magnetic deliveries with ultrasonic technologies and general system architecture. Fourth, we ended up developing labs to construct the formulations we're working on. Initially, or most commonly, the beauty industry tends to work with third-party formulators. However, the significant differences in system led us to actually have to consider and then execute on developing our own laboratory for the formulations in itself. That is also becoming one of important competencies, not just for RÉDUIT, but also for other business development activities. Last but not least, we've continued with the innovation activities on the enhanced drug deliveries front. Primarily, it is new delivery systems focused on hygiene devices, but also other medical and consumer product applications, such as inhalants, and a stream that was started this year is continuing on the CBD front. On specific infrastructures and platforms, so basically the foundations that allows us to coordinate and execute of all of these new fronts, I would like to start definitely with the organization, meaning in addition to the innovation activities in Perth, we have set up operations, device engineering, sourcing, and marketing for China in Dongguan. Neuchâtel is home to the RÉDUIT brand, and let's say the center of sales and marketing activities. In Europe, in Zagreb, we've added an office that more focuses on consumer marketing, content management, and digital support activities for RÉDUIT now. Already working on Bodyguard go-to-market as well. Basically a location that is both skilled and competitive. And then closer to the market in London, we have established the first bits of the organization for sales. All of these, basically you can see also from the numbers and team sizes that tend to be heavier on Dongguan and Zagreb. We're trying to optimize in terms of efficiency, but also in terms of performance. So each of them is running according to specific KPIs, being licensing and support to internal projects in Perth, to supply chain performance in Dongguan, development milestone and device performance in general from Neuchâtel, or specific marketing or sales activities in Zagreb and in London. This, as I said, is a platform, a basis for future developments, where, as mentioned earlier, Perth is continuing with innovation. Dongguan will be increasingly focusing on device structures, whereas Neuchâtel is likely to become the center for all the topical developments. Zagreb, yes, in addition to RÉDUIT, will be dealing with Bodyguard, and the equivalents of London we expect to be appearing also in Australia, in the US, so hubs focused on sales and local market support activities. The other example I would like to make when we talk about platform relates to the pods. I said a very unique structure, and something that was briefly introduced in an earlier session, also as an example of the continuation of execution. So we're dealing to the equivalent of the primary packaging in traditional products, that however is at much higher complexity of over 10 components in order to provide for the formulation to be delivered by the applicators. The design and the development is done in Perth, so Dongguan takes care of the industrialization. But in order to support the premium positioning, we will be moving the topicals into Switzerland. That in itself was a problem because of the complexity and also the significant labor needs for the assembling and filling of the pods, which we thought was a big problem with the Swiss tariffs. And for that, we have developed automatic filling, which is unique as a process for a structure that, again, is unique in beauty, but possibly also applicable across other brands of Wellfully in arrival. Here is a little video of the actual operation. I'm running it now. I hope it'll work. So it is a significant reduction of both the assembly times and then resulting differences in cost and also in terms of capacity. So as is, we're currently at about 1,200 pieces max. We think that with this new process, we'll be able to be at 5,000 pieces or more per day. Execution of that, I continue with the pod story as an example of also being very pragmatic. So in moving to Switzerland, first of all, we wanted to make sure we try to optimize for operations efficiency. Neuchâtel itself is in the northwest of Switzerland, and the operation center we decided to make in the Lugano area because it's at 80 kilometers from Milan, which is basically the central traffic, logistics, and business hub of northern Italy, from where we also have good daily access of skilled labor in cosmetics. You have Intercos, Varese, a lot of the cosmetic specialist structures within an hour of our location. It tends to be more competitive than the rest of the Switzerland, and we're also at only 600 kilometers away, so a half day's drive from the Croatian hub that could also take on some of the distribution and assembly and packaging activities. The facility itself, we've kept as compact as our product allows. We tailored the solution in terms of design for bulk production and filling, including lab and office. And I think we managed to do so in a very efficient way. When we talk about equipment sourcing, especially, here I'm showing these 2 containers that just left China over the last 2 weeks, basically with all the equipment needed for the setup of the facility. A rough estimate right now is that we still get to have the value added of the Swiss location, but having sourced a lot of the equipment locally compared to European tariffs for equivalent structures, we could be looking as much as an 80% gain in terms of resource efficiency. So in general, the design of the process new and the design of the execution, I hope makes us incredibly resource efficient, pragmatic, and we'll be looking at the build now in December and January. In terms of new products, very, very important development, of course, is Bodyguard. So we have been granted Australia, allowed EU, we're filing now, and we're still under examination in the US, China, and Japan. We're working on regulatory, expecting by the end of December, as well as the first batch of manufacturing scheduled for mid-December. That should put us in a position to launch as planned in Q1 21. I'm showing you a few of the examples of the branding and asset development activities. In parallel, we're putting together also the PR and launch marketing communications, as well as all the, let's say, commercial infrastructures, web shop, marketplace developments, and similar. Next, an overview of the equivalent on the RÉDUIT front. So in these 20 weeks, we did finalize the launch of 20 different products composed out of 6 devices and 24 topicals, covering both hair care and skin care. That was designed to cover a broad basis. We went with hair care first, space where we thought would be more visible in terms of innovations present and less cluttered than skincare. We also wanted to give the haircare the opportunity to get a bit of a head start, because we expect skincare to be more significant simply in numbers of the applications. But this is basically the first level of the rollout. Going towards 21, we are integrating all the learning both on the technical and the marketing fronts. As I said, these are completely new structures, both for industrialization and from the technical side, as well as for marketing. And we've been going to market really in the optics of getting the most feedback possible in terms of how to do better and improve as fast as possible, as much as possible, the value proposition. So this is also the reason why we kept design, sourcing, and marcoms fully in-house, not a one-shot agency or OEM deal, in order to be able to guarantee effective innovation by actively engaging in the evolution of the value proposition to constantly improve. This is really, really important in novel categories where you end up going to market being the first one who's trying to sell something to consumers that then are as well the first time trying to buy something completely new that didn't exist before. So we did a number of modifications already. We are evolving our messaging, and I think we're ready to look into the market with a completely new concept, maintaining or staying on brand in terms of basic inspiration from nature. In this case, we took the Amazon forest as a mirror of the values of universality, sustainability, diversity, and inclusiveness. That I think is the best way to describe what RÉDUIT is about. Preparing to launch, and we're in the process of industrialization, ready or getting ready for early 2021 with the RÉDUIT Uni. As the name says, universal in terms of applications, so an applicator spanning both hair and skin, and also universal and approachable in terms of ergonomics. As said, learning from the existing devices, something that is attractive, more or less oriented in terms of colors, a very compact design, seeking also a positioning. So we started from the top to premium ranges in order to get this learning. And with the RÉDUIT Uni, we think we can optimize the value proposition further, looking at even possible price points around or even that below $100. Now, specific ones for each of the markets, as was the case with the other range, will be developed along the way. But this will go hand in hand with the Swiss operation that, in addition to moving all the existing topicals to there, we'll also see the launch of completely new products. So on the ranging level, having worked with the first lineup, we will be adding 3 at least new skincare topicals, and we will see the arrival of a dedicated male grooming line that I think will allow the formulations range to be complete. When we talk about this, we also have to mind the importance of communications in terms of building and getting the value proposition through. And here I have prepared a brief overview on the activities in terms of site visits, social media followers and reach, PR, earned media, articles and reach, and influencer activities. The very important comment here is the focus on positioning and messaging quality. So this is why I called the 2 sides quantity and quality, where feature articles in Forbes or placements such as in Vogue, collaborations down on the bottom right, you see the activities we did with London Fashion Week and Victoria Beckham, I think are really, really important on securing a premium positioning that is going to be vital for both us, the brand, and all the retail partners. We are increasing these, as you can see from the numbers, because we are reaching critical mass in product and so on. So launching over 20 weeks, with every new product, we basically are able to scale communications better. The same then allows also for better learning on messaging and the creation of marketing assets. And now we're seeing also the first results on all the metrics elaborations we were doing through August and September being applied in October. So making sure we get the traction we need. At the end of the day, and in recap of the session, we will continue to face the challenges of making sure we get our priorities right, we sequence our actions in a proper way in order to make the most of the resources we have. This, in the light of COVID, is also closely related to the situation of the market and the situation of the retailers, primarily brick and mortars, where we're trying to do a smart trade-off in terms of effort and risk and the exposure of our brand to it. Last but not least, it is also a challenge in terms of company culture where contact is not possible amongst new teams across 3 continents. I think that also now the Swiss operation in Arrival will help to mitigate that exposure. Our opportunities continue to be in competitive infrastructure development, with the key point being the building of scale that is now more and more apparent both in operations and in marketing, and our speed in terms of reacting and moving on those opportunities. With this, I have completed the presentation part of this session, and we'll happily move to Q&A now.
Thanks very much, Paul. Great presentation. We've had several questions come through, so we'll do our best to get through all of them. There's been a few questions come in with regard to the AGM and associated business. Is there any comment, Paul, that you're able to provide on these matters around the AGM?
Sure. Well, today we wanted to concentrate on giving an overview of the business to the people that are new to the story, and a bit of an update to the existing ones. I will not be going into the AGM matters, apart from to say that it is being handled by the chairman and who have been in contact with the shareholders that have raised matters.
Thanks, Paul. I guess turning to the operations, looking at sort of revenue and cash flow, can you explain how the company shipped 8,700 pods and 1,300 devices in the September quarter, but only $120,000 of revenue was recognized during the period?
Sure. Clear. This was the movement from here now. Looking, the 120 was a reference from the cash flow, so it is the difference lies in payment terms. So money collected in stocking the local hubs for sampling and in sampling itself. So being completely new, we have been making sure we get the product in the hands of stakeholders, of journalists, of retailers, of influencers.
Thanks, Paul. So looking to RÉDUIT, so the business has launched a storefront on JD.com in China with the full product range. Although the question is around what's being done to capitalize in the lead up to the most important shopping day in Asia, being 11/11. The question is, there's no promotion apparent, and none of the expected product discounting has led to our products selling at all, or having at most a handful of sales. And can you talk to what this opportunity represents, and are we doing everything we can to pursue it?
Sure, sure. Yes, we do. In this particular situation, I mean, now adding on one of the last content slides on communications and let's say scale elements, the JD listing came in a couple of weeks ago, and there will be promotions for 11/11. This is the biggest promotional event globally. It is also the most expensive one, and there we have defined the perimeter of activations for 11/11, but it is a conscious decision not to go overboard, and in general, dealing with a new footprint, we, I think, found the right level between exposure and engagement for this promotion.
Thanks, Paul. So I guess a sideline to that question, what are the marketing strategies to boost the sales in China? And are you considering using online celebrities on TikTok or these sorts of other channels?
Sure. Well, celebrities on TikTok are one of the many channels. We have been focusing primarily on Little Red Book, but working with also other influencer platforms such as Bilibili. China is really critical. In my opinion, this is one of the two key markets, the US and China, and they deserve a really careful approach. That beyond influences of TikTok has to see the arrival of brand qualifying elements such as premium retailers, not just marketplaces, that qualify directly locally in China, Lane Crawford's in Hong Kong, but also premium retailers around the world to make sure that we get the needed standing in China. So it is one of the many levers that we are looking at and working with.
Thanks, Paul. So just looking back to RÉDUIT, is awareness and sales in the business tracking the way that you were anticipating? And what are the next steps for RÉDUIT?
Yes, okay, clear. It's covered before again, and continuing, it is a product that is completely new. It's a novel product concept, and this is where I think the better approach is basically to define your marketing strategy and activities to make sure you optimize for learning and effectiveness, rather than playing all in into promotions such as 11/11, making sure you keep evolving the value proposition in content, in assets, in messaging, in channel, and even product, in order to optimize the use of resources and also reduce the risk of shooting in an area where I said it is uncharted. We have been and are increasing activities since August, and this will continue through November and December. So the answer is definitely yes, marketing is going up to plan, and we feel more and more confident and comfortable at increasing the scale of those. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Paul. As I mentioned, we had lots of questions come in, but that's all the time we've got for questions for the moment. So the others we can take offline. Paul, really want to thank you for your presentation, and thanks very much to all of our attendees for listening in and joining us. Paul, I might just hand back to you for any closing comments.
Thank you. So I think we're looking at a really exciting period where a lot of the work over the last year will start to bear fruit. Nonetheless, we're committed on staying alert and pragmatic in going ahead, and we'll be updating the community as we go along.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, everyone, for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.